My dear friends, all of you be blessed by the divine. From today, we are going to contemplate on a new topic, enlightenment of consciousness, as described by our Guru, Tattvajnani VETHATHIRI Maharishi. There is no place in the universe where there is no consciousness. There is nothing in the universe without consciousness. Many of you who have some knowledge in basic principles would have known that God is knowledge and God is consciousness. The universal being is the consciousness. So far, the clear meaning was not given. If we think of the universal being as a phenomenon, the consciousness is the character of that phenomenon. So, consciousness is inherent in the primordial state. When the consciousness starts functioning, it is termed as energy or force. So, whatever is the force that functions, the results are all consciousness. This important point should be known by all of us. The consciousness is called as total consciousness or infinite consciousness in the primordial state, that is, infinite state or totality. When an infinitesimal portion of the universal being or the static state started functioning, we call it or think it as an energy particle. Then, what is the difference between the energy particle and the static state? Static state is non-moving phenomenon. The force started from the inherent force in the static. It is then separately identified as energy. In reality, moving static state is energy. When a fraction of static state started moving, there is static state present around it, which conditions the nascent force to rotate itself. Thus, self-rotation starts in the energy particle. The speedy self-rotation penetrates a wave in the static. So, energy is a wave with whirling motion or self-rotation. It is not other than the static state, but it is moving. Shakti. Thus, in the Shakti, matter is the universal being and action is consciousness. Matter is almighty and motion is consciousness. So, the consciousness starts with three principles as natural functions, which cannot be changed. The three principles are pattern, precision, and regularity. Pattern is depicting or explaining the structural value of anything. Precision is the character achieved by the thing in the evolutionary process all through its function. Regularity is the functional order with respect to time. You could assume these three principles, namely pattern, precision, and regularity, even in the fundamental or basic energy particle. These three principles, pattern, precision, regularity, are the values of consciousness. Consciousness is the character of divinity, universal being. The same consciousness is getting changed according to its functional order. Suppose one particle joins another particle and both are functioning jointly, then the pattern, precision, and regularity automatically changes. the structural value. Be blessed by the divine. Thank you. Enlightenment of consciousness. That is, instead of a single action, two actions are jointly functioning. There is a structural change. There, we have to go deeper to understand the character of everything in the universe. Other than the character, nothing is changing. So, what is the character? A particle is rotating itself. The particle, in fact, is a whirling wave. Because of the speedy whirling motion, a spreading wave is continuously generated all around the particle. How and why the force becomes a wave of pressure? Beyond the particle, static state is surrounding. Beyond the static particle, static state is surrounding it all around. Mind thinks that static state as vacuum or nothing. This is not so. Static state is the mightiest thing which presses the particle all around. The wave generated by the speedy rotation of the particle spreads all around and clashes with the primordial static state. It extends and becomes pressure. If static state is nothing, as considered by mind, it cannot be found or said to be wave. If there is nothing to obstruct the spreading wave generated by the self-rotation of the particle, it cannot become pressure force. Without pressure, cannot be taken as a wave. The wave itself is the pressure. Now, the spreading wave from every particle also clashes on other particles in the static state all around. Every one of the particles is having same wave. When one particle radiates a wave, it clashes on other things and reflects. Every one is moving. The whole wave is not reflected after the clash. Only a small portion of the wave is reflected. A major portion of the wave is refracted, while another small portion penetrates and interacts and turns back. At the same time, a portion may proceed straight beyond. So, a wave starting from the particle is having five functions, namely clash, reflection, refraction, penetration, and interaction. You can visualize the universe as a field filled with energy particles. Beyond the universal field is Almighty, the static state, pressing the universal field all around so that no particle can go out of the universal field. The particles in the universal field repel each other because of the force generated by their self-rotative motion. Because of the pressure by the static state all around and repulsive force between them, the particles have to maintain some intervening space between them. The repulsive force between any two particles depends upon the force generated by the particles by their self rotating speeds. Thus, the intervening space between the particles in the universal field is conditioned by the force generated by the self rotation of individual particles because of the all round pressure. Because of the all round pressure, the rotative speed of the particle is dampened and gradually reduced. In this way, when the self rotative speeds of the particles is getting reduced and consequently the repulsive force generated by self rotation is reduced and the distance between the two particles reduced. That is, they come closer to one another. The atom in scientific terminology is a family of such particles. Thank you all. Enlightenment of consciousness. When several atoms join together and function, we call it as a molecule. The structure of millions of appearances in the universe are only conditioned by constituent molecules. In anything from particle to atom or molecule or appearance, every clash of wave gives a shock to anything on which it impinges. Every clash is getting imprinted, and that is the resistance power achieved by the particle. So, the character of the particles vary according to the number of imprints recorded due to the aforesaid clashes on the individual particle. Similarly, the character of the atom is conditioned by the imprints in the constituent particles. So, the character is the shock imprinted in the particles. The shock waves first start with pressure, but all round pressure comes from the static state. The negative force, repulsive force, starts from the particle. These two forces jointly functioning is called as magnetism. When the wave from the free particles clash on the particles constituting air, the clash will result in sound. Similarly, clashes on, say, dense airfield or oxygen will result in heat and light. When the clash is in the denser field of water, Appu, or solid Prithvi, the energy released as light and sound acts gets stagnated and cannot spread in Akash, is transformed into taste and smell respectively. Pressure is magnetism, light and sound is electricity, taste and smell is chemical energy. All these states of energy are only results of clashes in various fields and nothing other than that. When you disintegrate an atom or the particle only, the wave remains. Any wave starting from anything is having all the characteristics of the source of the thing from which it started. When that wave clashes on anything, it induces its own character on the thing according to the structural value of the thing on which it clashes. This is the general rule. Any wave starting from anything is having all the qualities of the thing from which it starts. When the wave clashes on anything, the wave induces all the qualities of the wave in the thing on which it clashes. For example, the sound wave is transmitted in the radio. On the way, it is only a wave. When it clashes in the instrument, the same sound is reflected. Similarly, the light on the way. You cannot find anything more than the wave. From these, we can understand many secrets in the universe. You can also understand some secrets revealed by the universe according to the time, place, and subjects. In the understanding of consciousness, the first stage of development of consciousness from the particle to the greatest sun and inanimate things is pattern, precision, and regularity. And the five elements, namely solid, liquid, heat, air, and energy, join in a particular proportion in any small area, a peculiar magnetic fluid oozes and circumvents the volume. By this, it develops polarity. Then it is termed as a cell. Then, with the magnetic fluid and the magnetic force in the field, the cells are arranged in such a way so that the polarity helps the magnetic flow, inducing circular action in the magnetic field. There, the consciousness, which was limited to pattern, precision, and regularity in the first stage, will get the faculty to feel the disturbance in the cellular arrangement as pain or pleasure. Enlightenment of consciousness. When the disturbance results in harmony, it is called pleasure, and if the result is not harmonious, it is called pain. This perceptual ability is the second stage in the development of consciousness. The sensual perceptions increase one after another in the evolutionary process. The touch is evolved first in plant life, which have the ability to feel only the pressure or touch. The second sense to develop is taste. Worms have two senses, touch and taste. The third sense develop in mosquitoes, ants, etc. Four sense beings have no ears. Ears develop as fifth sense. All beings with 1 to 5 senses have perceptual ability. What is perceptual ability of the consciousness? Cognition, experience, and discrimination are the three principles denoting the development of perceptual ability by the consciousness. All the three principles concurrently function in everything having magnetic field and perceptual ability. The wave generated by the life force in the body is being converted into pressure, sound, light, taste, and smell by the sense organs. The surplus energy is continuously eliminated through the sense organs as pressure, sound, light, taste, and smell. When these waves touch corresponding waves of lesser magnitude, they are not affected. But when they contact corresponding waves of higher magnitude, they are reflected back. The reflected wave raises the conversion level of the life force into pressure, sound, light, taste, and smell, as the case may be. This exaltation becomes perception. I am moving my hand here now, and as there is no obstruction, nothing is felt. When it touches something or even a strong breeze, I feel the pressure. Some units of light energy are always eliminated through my eyes. If I open my eyes, it goes on. If it goes on without obstruction, there is no cognition. If it is obstructed by some light or shade, it reflects back and I have perception. Similarly, with other sense organs. So, the abstraction to our sensual waves is cognition. The first step in the second stage of development of consciousness is cognition. After cognition, experience comes. After cognition, experience comes. By conversion and reflection, there is depletion in the magnetic field, and living being experiences this as pain, pleasure, or disturbance in his mechanism. Then comes discrimination. You perceive a thing today which you had perceived earlier, or you, have, you perceive two things simultaneously. Then you observe difference between these two in terms of volume, time, distance, and force. Thus, the difference in the volume, time, distance, and force are assessed and expressed. This process we call it as discrimination. Therefore, perceptual ability consists of three principles, namely cognition, experience, and discrimination. The second stage of development of consciousness is in all animate being with one sense to five senses. Then, in man, in addition to the pattern, precision, regularity, and perceptual abilities of cognition, experience, and discrimination, the third stage of development of consciousness takes place to realize the existence and functions of consciousness itself. The consciousness is working in three levels in the organisms, getting induction with the magnetic field and conversion, enjoying or suffering, and discrimination. This peripheral consciousness is called mind. Whatever experience one has got out of action done willfully or automatically, all such actions are taking imprints, similar to the negative in photography. Again and again, those imprints will reflect automatically, or you can refer to it as a record willfully, where all these are imprinted. Where all these are imprinted? They are not imprinted in the atom, nor in the molecule or the body. They are imprinted only in the energy particle. The energy particle is the universal computer and is having all the imprints and has all the abilities of storing and reflecting, which becomes its character. We call such energy particles within the body collectively as soul. So, where from the soul started? It is from the infinite state, Brahman or Almighty or universal being. This is the basic state, super conscious state or total conscious state. Our consciousness is always working in three levels. All the three levels are working concurrently, but when the consciousness is focused on any one particular level, that only is patent and others are latent. The mental function is connected with the central nervous system. The soul function is connected with the autonomous nervous system. The infinite state is related with or connected with the universal wave. Every living being is provided with these three systems. Man is endowed with a wonderful sixth sense to understand the beauties and happiness in the universe as well as to realize his own existence. His own existence means who is he? He is consciousness. What was in the infinite state in the whole universal evolution? The same infinite state of consciousness developing through the evolutionary process culminate as man. So, man is consciousness itself. That is, I is the consciousness. It has all the three stages within it. It can work in the periphery, middle, as well as in the origin. It will work according to the level to which it is focused. When you start practicing in any level, that will be more active in that level and less active in other levels. This is the realization of the consciousness. When we perceive anything, the consciousness is enjoying that thing through the senses. When you realize your own self, the existence and function of consciousness itself, that is the enlightenment or the light of insight. When this enlightenment comes, one will realize that all the secrets of universe are only in the consciousness. All are various stages of the functional order of the consciousness. We cannot see or we cannot imagine anything in the universe without consciousness. Everything is working without failure according to the pattern, precision, and regularity. You can have a change according to how you meet, how you act, or how you deal with it. The changes you are having only in the pain, pleasure, peace, and ecstasy. There is no other change. Everything is whirling wave, spreading wave, converting into pressure, sound, light, taste, and smell. According to the intensity, quantity, and functions, the results are multifarious. There is no change in any one of them, but the change is only in the mental experience. To come to this understanding, you need concentration of the mind, dedication of the mind. If you get if you get it at once, if you get it once, you are supplied with the divine power, and that itself will take care of you. You have only to try. Otherwise, when we are working only with the senses, that is, perceptional abilities, emotions such as greed, anger, miserliness, etc., will come. I will explain why the greed comes. The potential of the consciousness is to develop itself to the whole universe, to understand everything in the universe and within the self. Such is the real potential of the force. When such potential is restricted and focused in some enjoyment, some small things, or property, some relation, it says there, it stays there, but only for a moment, for a day, or for a month. That is not the end of the consciousness. The consciousness has to develop. It is in the course of development. That speed itself goes beyond, but there is no link. You have not given link so that it increases. You are having some money, the consciousness goes where you are fixing, and you desire more money. If you are fixing the consciousness on some enjoyment, you desire to enjoy more and more of it. If you are having property, you want more and more of the property. This is an illusion, but really it is a process of development of the consciousness. Unless the consciousness reaches its goal, it will never stay and get satisfaction. Many things in the universe or any enjoyment. Therefore, if you want to get satisfaction, you have only to reach the goal, which is the perfection, which is the realization of consciousness, which is the realization of static state, which is actualization of the truth of the universe. Therefore, for the man to lead a better and harmonious life with satisfaction, enlightenment of consciousness is a must. From time immemorial, our forefathers who knew the value of man have given us teachings. They have written many things about the truth. In those days, many people were not able to understand, and therefore they kept many things in suspense. Now, science is bringing minds of many people nearest to the truth. So, only very little effort is necessary now to understand truth. When that is reached, mankind will get peace and harmony. Unless satisfaction comes, there will be no peace. Unless the satisfaction and peace come, there is no harmony. So, all these are interconnected. Therefore, enlightenment of consciousness is very much essential for mankind. It is not enough to know theoretically that Brahman is self, but you should become that subject and practically know about it. If you really understand, you can see the consciousness. You can see the divinity in everything, whether it is animate or inanimate. You will know how to give respect, how to deal with a thing without destroying the beauties or destroying consciousness. Here, when a man understands the working order of the consciousness and deals with it properly, every moment he will be getting happiness and success. Whenever he disturbs the natural functions, natural arrangement of the nature, or disturb the natural working order of the nature, the reflection or result is pain and miseries and problems in life. So one has to avoid unnecessary creation of problems. To solve the problems of mankind, for self and others, to become a master, helping the society in the spiritual field, the enlightenment of consciousness is very much necessary. The inner motive and meaning of consciousness in various angles and areas are embedded in all the subjects dealt with dealt during this enlightenment course. We are going with the subject deeper until you become the subject itself. I am only inducing the divine light already glowing in all of you, but you have to develop it by your will. You are going to get it, and as a result, the world will get benefits. Wish you all will get the light of insight. Be blessed by the divine.